This deck honestly puts up some insane boards considering its price point. If you guys haven't checked out the deck profile for the branded Predaplants that I recently uploaded, be sure to do so. I'm going to be going over some test hands slash combos in this video, so if you guys enjoy this type of content, be sure to let me know by leaving a like, commenting, and subscribing. Alright, so finishing shuffling up and getting into our very first test hand, we are going to be opening Foolish Burial, Fallen of Albaz, Effect Veiler, Predaplant Biblisp, and a Predaplanting. So, this is not a very great hand. It's technically playable, although it's not very good, but I will definitely show you guys what you can do with like the limited stuff that you have here. We're going to start off with a copy of Foolish Burial, being able to send a copy of our Predaplant Biblisp to the graveyard, which is going to trigger its effect to allow us to add a copy of Predaplant Clematis Sundew. And what Clematis Sundew is going to allow us to do is fusion summon when we summon it. And when we normal summon it, it's going to allow us, like I said, fusion summon from our hand by fusing away the Clematis Sundew and the other Biblisp. The reason I said this hand isn't like good is because we have like these dupes and we have Fallen of Albaz, but like it's still going to end on some pretty nasty stuff, which I guess I'll show you. We'll summon Ambulomalides, not Ambulance, Ambulomalides, whose effect on summon is going to let us add a Predaplant monster or a Predaplant spell or trap from our deck to our hand, and we are going to add a copy of our Predaplant Bufolicula. Since we already have access to Predaplanting, this is another great target for us to add, since we're not going to get access to Predaplant Biblisp anyways later on. We're going to activate Ambulomalides next, attributing itself to be able to summon out a copy of our Predaplant Darlingtonia Cobra from our deck. So when Darlingtonia Cobra summon, it's going to allow us to add any fusion spell from our deck to our hand, and that's going to be Branded Fusion. So Branded Fusion, you can see we have access to it, even though we just started with a Predaplant card. So that's like the great part about this deck and how much synergy it has. We're going to activate the Branded Fusion next, which is going to specifically send a copy of Fairy Tale Snow to the graveyard and a copy of Albaz. The reason we're sending Fairy Tale Snow is because we want to very specifically summon out our copy of Albion, because Albion not only gives us lets us dump snow to the graveyard, but it also acts as fusion material for Bufolicula. So here we are going to summon Albion the Branded Dragon, like I said, activate Albion's effect, and the great thing about this combo is that since we already have an extra deck monster in the graveyard, we actually get to keep the Albion on the board, which is going to be very important for multiple reasons. We're going to end up banishing the Ambulomalides and the Albaz from our graveyard to, of course, summon Mirror Jade, so that's 1 point of interaction on our board, but we are not done just yet. We're going to activate the effect of Predaplant Bufolicula, or activate Bufolicula in the scale, activate Bufolicula's effect to fuse away the Albion the Branded Dragon and the Darlingtonia Cobra for a copy of Predaplant Dragostapelia. We're going to then set the copy of Predaplanting, and during the end phase of our turn, we're going to activate Albion's effect to set Branded Banishment. So what does this M board actually do? Of course, we have Mirror Jade, we have Predaplant Dragostapelia. Everyone just considers it infinite impermanence, but Dragostapelia's effect is actually incredibly good with a card like Predaplanting, because Dragostapelia reads that anything monster with a Predator counter your opponent controls, not only do they become level 1, but they also negate their activated effects. And since Predaplanting puts a Predator counter on all of our opponent's monsters, essentially it's like a Dark Ruler no more in a trap form. So we have an Imperm, we have a Banish, we have a Dark Ruler no more, and Branded Banishment on our opponent's turn is going to be able to summon back a copy of Albion or Mirror Jade if it somehow gets outed, and then we can either fusion summon with our opponent's monsters, but worst case scenario, if our opponent has no monsters we can fusion into, we're still able to fusion summon into something like Starving Venom Predapower Fusion Dragon by banishing these two and summoning it out onto the board. And of course, this is becomes a negate by tributing anything with a Predator counter. So a very, very powerful end board that honestly also doesn't necessarily instantly lose to a card like Dark Ruler or Dropless, because we have so many layers. We have the Predaplanting, which on its own is already very good against something Very good against something like Sword Soul or any XYZ deck because it already reduces the level. But also we have Branded Banishment, which of course is like that super poly card. And that's not even mentioning the Fairy Tail Snow that we have in the graveyard and the Effect Veiler in our hand. So you can see, even off of a very awkward / weird hand where we had like dupes plus like a deadfall on the albaz, we're still able to end on this very, very powerful end board. And that's what this deck can do off of like these common cards plus like the branded structure decks. So yeah, honestly, very incredible turn 1 board. I would say this is probably the best board the deck makes turn 1 with like Snow in the Grave, the cards on the field, plus any additional hand traps. If we swap the albaz with like another hand trap, yeah, that would probably be the most ideal opening we could have. But even then, like what we had there should just be enough to win regardless. But yeah, I'm going to shuffle up and we are going to do a going second test hand. Alright, finishing shuffling up, we are going to assume we are going second. Like I always say with these types of test hands, we're not really going to be assuming or guessing what our opponent has. I'm just be showing what this deck can do going second and some of the options that you have. So we're going to open with Skullmeister, Veiler, Buffalicula, Keeper, Dragon Magic, and Predaplanting. Of course, we're going to assume we use both of our hand traps to stop our opponent. Drawing for turn, drawing Super Polymerization. So this is also really good because now if our opponent has like dark monsters on the board, we easily clear. But let's just say they don't. We are going to start with the copy of Keeper, Dragon Magic. Effect is going to discard, you can discard Predaplanting because in the graveyard, when you fusion summon a dark monster, you're able to banish it and pop a card on the field, so it helps you play around stuff, play into boards as well. So we're going to activate the Keeper Dragon Magic, adding Instant Fusion. Instant Fusion is honestly incredible. It's a 1-card combo in this deck, and I'll show you guys. We'll start with Instant Fusion, summoning out a copy of our Ambulo Melodies. That's going to not only chain block Ambulo Melodies, but also like I said, out a card on the field. So chainlink 1 Ambulo Melodies to search, chainlink 2 Predaplanting to pop a card, Ambulo Melodies. Since we already have access to Buffalicula, we're actually going to be able to add Triantis, and Triantis is incredibly good here. We're going to be able to activate our Pendulum Scales, and then Buffalicula is going to act as that fusion spell. Triantis is going to put predator counters on our opponent's monsters, which is very important, as you're going to see here. So we're going to activate the Buffalicula to fusion summon. We don't want to get rid of the Ambulo Melodies because we still want to use this effect to tribute our opponent's monster. That's kind of like the whole point of what we're doing. So honestly, we can just go for a copy of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon by fusing away both the Buffalicula and the Triantis, since Triantis allows us to use monsters in our pendulum zones as fusion material. In the new chain, of course, we can use a Starving Venom if our opponent has a appropriate monster, but the important thing is we're going to be putting predator counters on all our opponent's monsters, plus Buffalicula is going to add Triantis back to our hand. So now all our opponent's monsters have a predator counter on them, and that means we're able to Ambulo Melodies tribute off one of their monsters. So we've already added one card out of one of our opponent's monsters with this, and we're just getting started. We're going to be able to summon a copy of our Predaplant Darlingtonia Cobra next from our deck. That's to trigger Darlingtonia Cobra's effect, which is going to allow us to search a copy of Branded Fusion. And then from here, we are going to be able to activate the copy of our Branded Fusion, being able to send Albaz. Since we already have access to all the Predaplants that we want this turn, we already used Buffalicula, we already used Triantis. We're actually going to just end up sending Snow again instead of Stay Sailor Romarin, because we no longer need to dump like a Predaplant to the graveyard. It doesn't really matter. So we are going to summon the Albion in the extra monster zone because we are kind of running out of space now. We are going to activate the effect of Albion. We're going to be able to banish from our field. We're going to banish the Ambulo Melodies, and we are going to banish the copy of our Fallen Albaz. And that's going to allow us to summon out a copy of Mirror Jade. So alone, this is definitely enough damage. We have 28, 3k, 25, which is game on its own already. But even if this isn't game, like we have ways to clear our opponent's board too. We can go Mirror Jade effect, dumping Albion to the graveyard, banishing one of our opponent's monsters. Of course, we could also crash our Starving Venom to blow up all our opponent's special summon monsters. And then like in the battle phase, we can still do like Super Poly, fusing away our monsters, summoning out a copy of like Dragostapelia, which is an extra 2700 damage. And of course, if somehow that's all not enough, we still have that copy of Fairy Tale Snow, just banishing everything to be able to summon out onto the board and just kill our opponent. So yes, it's even a card like Predaplanting, which is one of that you don't necessarily want to draw. We were able to make good use out of it, even going second. So hopefully that shows you guys what this deck can actually do, both going first and going second. Like, despite being a budget deck, like, it's just insane. Like, the turn 1 boards it can put up, like, the going second cards it has access to. You have space to play cards like Super Poly. You have space to play cards like Hand Traps. And like I mentioned in the deck profile, you don't have to play this lineup specifically. If you have the budget for, like, bigger stuff, then do go for it. But I just wanted to show you guys, like, how powerful this engine is. The Predaplant engine not only sets up your entire, like, branded place, but also lets you go second as well with, like, putting Predator counters and then tributing it away with our copy of Ambulo Melodies. So that's going to do it for the test hand video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Once again, if you haven't checked out the deck profile, be sure to do so. It is already on my channel. But with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.